Oh, good, it has worked. So welcome once again for another session of AWS Academy Cloud Foundations training. Today we're going to go to a new lab. And last week we did the first lab on identity access management. Today we're going to look at VPC. Again, as I mentioned earlier, today we're going to have this session, so we need to have at least do a lab. The good thing is all the other modules have lecture videos within the platform, so you really don't need me to really teach you and take you through the modules. Especially right now, the target is that you should have already finished module 1 and module 2. This week we are doing module 3 and module 4. As a precursor to that, I'll actually be doing a lab on VPC. Let me see if it's going to load on my end. I'm still having issues with the network. I hope I'm on the right network. Let me refresh it again. Yeah, so it has loaded the student view, finally. Let us go to modules. So if there's anything, you can just post it on the chat if there's any issues. So as I've said, like right now, you should have already been done with these cloud concepts overview. You should have already looked at the introduction to cloud computing, the advantages of the cloud, introduction to AWS specifically as a cloud service provider, and how you can move to the AWS cloud. So then you do the knowledge check. I'll actually be able to check on the system for all those who have been able to do it. And then obviously you should have already completed module 2. It's all about cloud economics and billing, getting to know how to do pricing, how AWS does billing and cost management, the billing dashboard, just getting to know the ins and outs of billing and how cloud works with regards to calculations. So this week is all about module 3 and 4 with regards to the platform, the learning platform. So you're supposed to already cover the AWS global infrastructure overview, get to know all the services in the service categories that are there. You can see each and every section has a video. So I don't need to redo whatever is here. If it was an in-person class, I would actually teach it. But since it is an online class and everything that you're accessing is online, you'd actually be better off going through these section videos. Okay, then you're going to do the module knowledge check, and then you're going to look at cloud security, which we should have already looked at the lab in itself. This is the lab that we did, and you can see that is why anytime you finish a lab, you're going to get this tick here that you've been able to do it. And even anytime you complete a module knowledge check and it's complete, you're going to also see it there. So module 5 is all about VPC, and I can't wait to really do this. I told you that I already done it. That's so you can see the tick here. So let me take you through this lab so that you can see how it works. This is lab 3 on Amazon EC2 that you're going to do. Then you're going to look at EBS on the 4th week. And I think you're going to build a database server in the 5th week. Do you have another lab, really? Yeah, I think on the 5th, and also within the 5th week, you're going to also look at scale and load balance in your architecture. Okay, so let's look at this lab. Let's go through this lab on VPC. Here it is. So for those who are following, I don't know if you're following, if you're also doing it yourself, if you're also going through this together with me, kindly say it in the chat so that I can know and we can go at a similar pace with each other. Again, remember that we need to really do this by 8. Should really finish it by around 8 to 8:10. So we really need to move at a pace that is a bit higher. The good thing is we have the video on YouTube, so you can still rewind, you can take me at, you can replay the video at 0.5x, but all it works. So this is the lab. Again, remember that we need to arrange, our lab such that we can see the instructions side by side. So what I'll do, I'll still have to state, remember we need to click on start lab, but we need to remember that this lab is going to help us know about the virtual private cloud, and it enables us to launch some services. Then we're going to look at a web server. So this is the infrastructure that we're going to build. Let me just make it bigger like this. So we're going to create 2 availability zones, availability zone A and availability zone B. Then we're going to have the public subnet 1, which will have the NAT gateway, network address translation. Then you're going to also have a private subnet 1. Then also going to have a public subnet 2, which is going to have within it a security group. And then you're going to have the web server running here. Then you're going to have the private subnet 2 also. And you can see this one has the 000. This one will be having 010/24, 020/24. This is going to be 030/24. This is the table. This is a public root table that is /16, the VPC. The VPC is 10.0.0.0/16. For those who are not familiar with subnetting, once you go through this module, you're going to understand about the slash notation and understand what really this means. And then you also have the private root table, which is also having the NAT gateway for network address translation. So let me click on this start lab. So you're going to see these taking place. Somebody just tell me on the chat, how many are already logged on and somewhere here in lab 2, in the second lab, and you're ready to go through this journey together with me? Oh, good, Bernard. Thank you, Hiram. So you're going to see this. Don't worry, even if you click on close here, it's still going to do the work in the background. So personally, I'm going to do this. Then then it's still creating it. You can see it here. The moment it's going to start the counter, running the counter, I'm going to be sure that it is now working. Then so what we're going to be having is that after this lab, we're going to be able to create a VPC. We're going to create some subnets, and also we're going to have a security group. Then you're going to be able to launch an Ec2 instance. It's going to be a precursor, because in the next lab, you're going to have the Ec2 lab. But here we're going to just have an Ec2 instance, and the Ec2 is going to have the web server. So let us do this, start lab, wait until you see at the top. Then once this happens, you're going to click on AWS. Once we have then you're going to obviously arrange our lab like the way we did it last time. We're going to have that running. Okay, everyone is in creation. Good. William in creation, Abraham in creation, Munyalo, good. All of us are here. So once yours logs on, you tell me also. if it is ready. Your mind, I've clicked on X. So as it creates, just go through the tasks and see. So we have task 1, create your VPC. In this task, you'll use the VPC Wizard to create a VPC on the internet gateway. And obviously, you're going to have 2 subnets in a single availability zone. So what that means is, for example, like here, we have 2 subnets, private subnet 1 and public subnet 1, I mean, and private subnet 1 in a single availability zone, zone A. Then you have these 2 subnets, public subnet 2 and private subnet 2 in the second availability zone, that is availability zone B. So this is what you're going to be having as the setup. So this usually really gives you a pictorial or a logical representation of what we are actually trying to achieve. So mine is still in creation. I don't know how many, whose is ready. Anyway, what else is here? If so what happens is we are going to have an internet gateway that is IGW, is a VPC component that allow communication between instances of your VPC and the internet. So VPC is just virtual private cloud. So you're trying to just ensure that you are going to have this cloud that is not publicly accessible. It is just accessible within a private, it's just like creating a local area network, but not on the local area network, but on the cloud. So if subnet's traffic is routed to an internet gateway, the subnet is known as the public subnet. And if the subnet does not have a route to the internet gateway, you're going to have that as the private subnet. You've already seen that. Public subnet 1, private subnet 1, public subnet 2, and private subnet 2. Then you're also going to have to create a NAT gateway, which is going to help us provide internet connectivity to our Ec2 instances. But obviously right now you're going to only have one Ec2 instances. I can see my lab has started counting here at the top. It means that it is ready. So I can now click on AWS. Maybe you can confirm whether yours has done. And the moment it creates a new tab has been created, I'll arrange it. I'll move it to the side here. I'll make sure it doesn't take the whole space. Good, yours is ready. So make sure you arrange yours. Don't know where mine has lost to. Minimize that one. Minimize that one. A lot of things opening here. Let me see where is my other browser. Oh, here it is. Okay, arrange this. What has happened to my login? Should I be logged in? Let me see. So it has loaded. How many are already with this setup? They have already arranged their instructions. The instructions are on this side. This side is the pink, and their real instance or their AWS management console is on this other side. If you've been able to do it, you can just confirm with me so that we move on. Thank you, Hiram. Thank you, Shmeshak. Have you been able to arrange your instructions as well as your management console as such? Good. Okay, let us now move on. We're going to move at the pace of Meshach and Peter. So we, in the AWS, click on the services menu and choose VPC. So you can just, instead of just going here and looking for where it is basically, because there are a lot of them here, categories, just click on search here, and I'll type VPC. So here it is. Then I'll click on Launch VPC Wizard. Once it loads. So it is loading. So this is the real activity. You're actually becoming a cloud engineer once you're doing these things, because you're doing them in real instances on the real platform. So you've been told to launch the VPC Wizard on this side. So you can see it is already here. You can see it very well. You can see it is already here. So let me do that. Then there are a number of them here. So we have the VPC with a single public subnet. We don't want to get that setup. Remember, our setup is going to have both a public and a private subnet. There's also another setup where you can have a public and private subnet and hardware VPN access. And then also you can have a private subnet only with hardware VPN access. So these are not the VPCs option we need to want. We just want this one according to the lab. So we're going to focus on that one. Then you can click select. Then you're going to now set up and configure. Have you been able to see that? Are you there? Have you been able to choose and you are in the step that I am? If you are there, you can just type Y, or you can type R to show that you are ready, Y or R. Good, Hiram, thank you. So we are being told we need to configure the VPC name to be lab VPC. So you need to type lab VPC here. Exactly, type it even the way it is, even in terms of capitalization, lab VPC. Then select the first availability zone. So remember that availability zone is where it is. This is where it is. So you need to choose the first one. There's so many of 1A, 1B, 1C. Let's choose 1 East, 1 US East, 1A. So that's an availability zone. Then we're told that we need to put it as public subnet 1. Here. So I'm typing public subnet 1. Select the first availability zone. So remember here, we still use this one. So you still use the same availability zone. Same here. Then private subnet 2. Private subnet. To make it very easy, sometimes it's just important to log in on your phone, then do it on your computer so that you don't have to struggle. So private subnet 1 is where you are. Okay. Then what else is left? And you just need to choose in the box and select the IP. So elastic IP allocation ID, we need to just do this. Then it will appear here. Then you just click on that one. Then you choose create a VPC. The others, you leave them the way they are. You don't need to have a service endpoint because you're not having it on the edge. And then you need to enable the DNS host names, and hardware tenancy, you just leave it as default, the way it is. Create the VPC. So it creates, you can move to the next step. Once it is complete, choose OK. The wizard has provisioned a VPC with a public subnet and a private subnet in the same availability zone, together the root table. So once you are able to do that, you have been able to achieve this. You'll have been able to get the NAT gateway and the availability zone A under that. Do we really need to? Yeah, you can see the private subnet. Did we have to change the CIDR? No. So you can see the private subnet is 10.0.1.0.24, and you can see it here. And then you can see the public was 10.0. I think it must be up there. So if yours is done, you can just tell me. If yours has completed, mine is at, I think it's stuck at 47. I don't know whether yours is stuck at 47. But I think it will actually boot up. So you can see it has said my VPC has been successfully created, and I'll click on OK. Don't know how many of us are there. So you've already been able to create all this. So this is the setup we have so far. So we are headed to this task of creating the additional subnets for the second availability zone. So okay, we need to add an additional subnet, the public subnet 2. Yeah. So I want us to know whether we are together. I don't know whether yours are still at 47% or still creating. If yours is still creating, you can say still. If yours has completed creating, you can say done, so that we can have someone still good. Meshach, it's still creating. We can still wait on you. Good. Bernard is done. So once you're done, and also as Meshach is also getting done, you need to create the additional subnets. Basically, we remember that the setup is we needed to have also the public subnet 2 and the private subnet 2. Captain is also still yours. Once you're, and also when it gets done, you tell us so that we can see. So right now what we want to do in this task 2. We need to do 2 additional subnets in the second availability zone. And it is useful for creating resources in multiple availability to provide high availability. I think you've ever seen, even if let's say YouTube, you cannot kill YouTube. You cannot say that all the videos are in one place, or maybe the servers are stocked somewhere such that if you hit that building, you're never going to get all the YouTube videos and all the materials that are there. It's because of high availability, and they've created a lot of zones. They have zones in Africa, zones in Europe, zones in the US, and all these availability zones ensure that multiple availability zones ensure very high availability of resources, so that it's just like M-Pesa. You don't do an M-Pesa transaction, then you wait for 5 seconds or 10 seconds for you to get the confirmation message. It's near instant. Good, Meshach. Good to see that you're now done. So I think we can go on to this part. So go to subnets. So in the left, so here is what you're doing. I need to do these subnets here. You can see on my side. So go to subnets. Then go to create subnet. This other side. Then click on lab VPC, the VPC ID. So you can see there's a VPC here. So I've just clicked here. I've not typed anywhere. I've just done that. Then subnet name is public subnet 2. The second availability zone. Remember that you don't make a mistake here. Remember, we choose US East 1A for the first. So here, make sure you choose US East 1B, which is the second availability zone. Then the CIDR block, you can just type it. It will start appearing 10.0.0.2.0. Then you can see the moment it appears /24, you choose the /24. You don't need to put tags, they are optional. we need to create the subnet. So this one will create, okay. You need to create subnet. So just go down and create subnet. So let it finish creating. So you can see it has finished creating, as successfully created subnet, one subnet. I'll create another one. And this one is the private subnet. We already created public subnet 2. Now we are now creating private subnet 2. So again, we are choosing lab VPC, the lab virtual private cloud. Sorry, I dropped off the call. There was somebody who just called me and I'm using my phone for sharing, but I'm back. Sorry about that. So where were we? So we create a subnet, then configure. So we are at lab VPC. The subnet is private subnet 2. The subnet name, private, will allow me to move a bit faster. Then the second availability zone. Remember, you're choosing the second, US East 1B. Then we are going to type 10.0.3. Don't forget our logical setup, 10.0.3.0/24. What that just means is you're going to assign addresses from 10.0.3.0 to 10.0.3.255. So the subnet will have all the addresses starting with 10.0.3.x. That is basically what the CIDR notation is telling you, that the block. So we're using the CIDR notation. Did these ones create themselves? I think they are there. But anyway, then you can create the subnet. Once it is done, we are going to the left navigation and choose route tables. So we just go to route tables. Select the route table with main yes and the lab VPC. Lab VPC is equals to lab VPC. So I need to select a route table. I need to revert my this. I need to make this a bit easier. Main is equals to yes. So I need to look at here. Where is main is equals to yes? It is this one. Where is the VPC lab VPC? It is this one. You can see main is equals to yes. You can see that. And the VPC is equals to lab VPC. Has disappeared again. Do this one. So I'll select it. So then we can see the moment I clicked on it, it got selected. Then what happens is in the name column for this route table, choose the pencil. So I need to choose this. And then I type what? Try to make it bigger. Then I type I'll type private route table. It must be private route table. Private route table. So I'll do this and I'll type private route. Sawa. I'll click on save. In the lower pane, choose the routes tab. So I'll have to do this, and I make this a bit bigger. Down here is the lower pane. This is the lower pane. I've just dragged it up. So there's the routes tab. Here it is. Note that the destination 0000 is set to target NAT and some numbers, which is true. It is here. That means that traffic destined for the internet will be sent to the NAT gateway. Then the NAT gateway will send that traffic to the internet. In the lower pane, we'll choose the Subnet Associations tab. So let's go to the Subnet Associations tab. We'll now associate this route table with the private subnets. So that's what we're going to do. They're going to go to edit Subnet Associations. Then we select both private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. So we're going to select private subnet 1 and private subnet 2. Let me just choose and click on Save Associations. So you've already associated the private subnets with the NAT gateway for easier transfer of traffic from the private subnets to the internet. Then you select the route table with main is equals to no and VPC is equals to lab VPC. So you have to select all the other subnets. So you have to go back to route tables. Where have mine disappeared? Well, yeah, they are. So I'm looking for main is equals to no and VPC is equals to lab VPC. So where main is equals to no, I think it is this one. And the VPC is equals to lab VPC. So it is this one. So I've selected it. In the name column, so I'll have to scroll to this other side where is the name column. This is the name column, the first one. I'll type public route table. The public route table. So you already know routers. Routers always create a route table. So this is basically what we are trying to do within our VPC. We are trying to ensure that there's a table that really shows where the traffic moves. How does the traffic move within a virtual private cloud? So we have the public route table set up. Then we need to go again and go to the routes tab. And notice that it means that internet bound will be sent to the internet via the internet gateway, which is the same. We're going to now go to public subnet associations and select both public subnet 1 and sub. Remember, right now we are not dealing with private, we're dealing with public subnet. So I'm going to edit subnet associations. And I'll select public. You can see public subnet 1 has been selected. And I'll select public subnet 2. Don't make a mistake and select the private ones. Only select the public ones. Then you just click on Save Associations. So your VPC has now public and private subnets and configured in two available. So now we have been able to achieve this diagram. So we're going to now create a VPC security group. Remember, in our initial diagram at the top, we had a security group for the web server. You can see it here. So I need to go down there and create our security group. So in the left, I'll just go to security groups. Where the security groups is down here. And I'll create a security group name called Web Security Group. Web Security Group, let it load. I don't know how many of us have been able to do, as it mine loads, I've been able to do the subnet associations. If you've been able to do it, you can just type Y. If you are still doing it, you can say yes or S as you're still doing it. And as you're doing it, you can catch up with me. Then you can create a security group here. I'll type Web Security Group. Okay, I can see someone has typed something. Let me check who it is. got lost, but you'll catch up. It's okay. It's okay, Captain. You can always catch up. And there's also the so let me go to this, enable HTTP access, enable H. So this just helps you to know what the security group is all about. So we are trying to explain that. Then you're going to choose the lab VPC. So can we just decide to do that? Then I look for it here. You can see it is here, lab VPC. Just make sure you click on the X, and then you choose lab VPC, just to be sure. Then inbound rules, make sure you add a rule for the inbound rules. So what does this rule tell us? You're going to choose the HTTP here, HTTP. Then you are trying to say it can come from it can allow anywhere as long as it is IPv4, it can allow, and then description, which is permit web requests. Then I'll just scroll to the bottom and leave the other ones the way they are, and I'll just click on create security group. So I can see the security group has been created. Then I'll go to EC2. We're almost done with this lab. So I'll just click on start and I'll type EC2. EC2 is just Elastic Cloud Compute, virtual server on the cloud. So we're creating the web server. And I'll launch the instance. So this is a process of creating an EC2 instance or a virtual server in this case. So I'll go to instances. It has not loaded. If your dashboard does not load it, just go to instances. I don't know what is happening to mine. Yeah, so I can see here, then I'll click on launch instances. Then first you'll select Amazon machine image. At the top, Amazon Linux 2 at the top, then you just click on select. So it is this one. We're going to use the T2.micro. The T2.micro is the one that is on the free tier. T2.micro, let it load. So let it load here. Give it some time to load on this other side also. So it has loaded. So you can see this one is a free tier eligible. So it means that you don't, if you try to create using the other options, it will not work because it is not part of the lab. Then I'll just go to next, configure the instance details, configure these settings. The network is lab VPC. Don't forget that. The network is the one that we've just been using, lab VPC. You're going to use public subnet 2, not private. Public subnet 2, because that is where we are. Then advanced details section at the bottom. Advanced details there. We'll expand it. So it is already expanded. Then user data. We're going to type this. So these some commands. See, these some bash commands. So it's going to install the Apache HTTP. It's going to download some lab files from the AWS S3 bucket. And then it's going to unzip that zip file and put it in var www.html. Then it's going to turn on the web server, that is the Apache web server, and start the HTTP. So you're going to make sure you copy this so that as the EC2 instance is created, these bash commands will also run. Then you're going to go to add storage. Here we're just going to use the default settings, so you're not going to change anything. 8 GB, and it's going to be the EBS. We're going to go to add tags. Then you can choose add tag to configure. I'm going to say the key is name. The key type is name. and the value is web server 1. Really helps you. Then we go to next, configure the security group. So remember, we created a security group called web security group. So we don't need to really create a new one. Just go to select existing. Then when you look at it, you remember this web and you said enable HTTP access. So you're just going to use that one. Then we finish, then we see review and launch. You'll see a warning. Just choose continue. You've been told that. Review the instance information. We've already reviewed it. Then we launch. Then you say you select an existing pair, the one that is there. Then I'll acknowledge and then I launch the instance. I'm just here. Then wait until web server 1 shows 2 out of 2 checks passed. So what do? Your status is now launching. So I'll just check here. View instances. So I have to wait until this instance state changes from pending to 2 out of 2 checks. So you can see it's still pending. I'll still be refreshing here up until I see 2 of 2 checks passed. So I'll copy the DNS and open a new browser and paste the public, and I should be able to see something like a DNS logo. So we have already prepared all this. So the only part that is left is the web server is being created. So you can see it is running. Let me see whether it is. So you can see it is initializing. I have to wait for 2 out of 2 checks passed for that. Then I'll be able to open it. Then you'll see. So we've been able to do this. What we've just been able to do as a recap, we started by creating the subnets within. They started out with the public subnets within the availabilities fast availability zone. Then we created the private subnets. So you also enabled the NAT gateway so that you can have traffic coming from the internet and going through to the internet. Then we created the security group. The security group to allow HTTP requests. And the security group helps us so that the server cannot be hacked. It cannot be accessed using SSH, or it cannot be accessed using other protocols like TCP or Telnet, because the only thing that is allowed to go outside is the HTTP. So that is the work of the security group. Then you're also having now the Ec2 instance, which is the web server. And when we created it with some user data to install Apache and download some files from an S3 bucket so that we can, and also start the server. So when we look at the server, let's see whether it has finished sorting itself out in the background. Let's see, it's loading on my end. I think my network is a bit low. Oh, good. Still in root tables. I hope you are able to catch up. I know today I've been a bit fast. I've been quite fast. It's just that I was actually supposed to be late for another session at 8 for an IPD. We have an instructor professional development session for Cisco that I wanted to look at. And I also need to ensure that I get out of the office into the house. So it is loading. I don't know why mine is loading too much. Let me refresh it from here. Let me close that. Okay, so it is my web server 1. Let's look at whether the status checks is 2 out of 2. So let us look at, yeah, good. So my status check is finally there. You can see it is done. So what I'll do is once I select it, I'll just scroll it up here. I'll scroll down. I'll look for the public IPv4 address. Networking. Doesn't have a public IPv4 address. What is happening to my instance? It doesn't have an IPv4. So I'm getting the private one, but I need to get the public one so that I'm able to open. Because like this one has a public IPv4 address. Why doesn't mine have a public IPv4 address? It has done creating it. Let me see. Or is it because my network went down? So I should get a public IPv4 address. Don't know whether there's some step I jumped. Don't think I messed up anything. Oh, okay. Auto assign public IP enable. I think I missed this part. I missed this part. I must have missed this part. I don't know whether I'll be able to do anything on it. Let me see. There's no way I can survive and make sure it has a public IPv4 address. Let me see. So I can't connect to it. Don't know whether there's one of you who did it. I think I missed that step. And I don't have time to repeat it. So I'll repeat that last part. Don't worry. I think I missed to put the auto. That is why I don't have a public IPv4, but you should have gotten a page. I don't know whether there's somebody who did it, who didn't miss that step. The step that I missed was this one. Let me show you. This part. See? Auto assign. And I don't know whether I can go to the settings. I think I can manage the IP addresses. You can see it is here. That is the private IP needed to auto assign a public, but it's okay. I think I'll just leave it at that. Then I'll show you, I'll redo that part and I'll show you how it works, that last part. So I think we can leave it at that. You should actually be able, so what was basically left is you copy the public IP into a new tab and you're going to see the server running. And you think with that, you'll have already completed the lab. So you'll allow me to leave it at that and maybe ask if there's questions from anyone. And if you're able to do it also, don't stop without, make sure you've having done it. Can allow a bit of questions, then I can maybe leave. Okay, good. Good, Meshach, yours was working. Sorry. Personally, I missed mine. So you're the. I don't know whether you can share your screen, Meshach. Were you using Zoom on your laptop so that you can share that it was working? If you're using, I can give you rights to share your screen so that you can show the rest of us how yours was working. Okay, let me make you a co-host. Let me make you a co-host. So you can share your screen, Meshach, and show us how that last part looked. Yes, Hiram, you can start the lab later and redo it. Yeah, so you can see, maybe you can go back to your instance. Yeah, that side, the other side. The other tab, yeah, on that side. So you can see in his instance, he has a public IPv4 address. Just take that bottom part. Unaona hapa iko na dash mbili hapa chini. Hii yenye iko na dash mbili hapa chini. Just take it up, yeah. Just drag it up mpaka ufike. So you can see, it can open. You can see it can is this on the web? Is this on the web one? India web. Yeah, web server 1. So you can see his public IPv4 address is the one written EC2 5491.73.109. So when Meshach clicks on that, maybe you can click on it again, click on open address, or you can copy, whichever way. So you can see it loads whatever was run, a successful run of Apache, having the AWS technical and all that. So I know it's taking a bit of time to load, but you can open this tab that has already loaded and show us. So you can see it shows that his web server, it took too long to respond, but it was here. So it is US1, East 1B's current CPU load. It doesn't have a lot of load on it. It is not working. It's not doing a lot, but it has this zip. This was what was in the zip file. It has been unzipped and it is in the var www HTML or something of that sort. So it actually shows you that this web server is in the availability zone, the second availability zone of US East 1B, and that is the instance ID, which is basically it. And you can load a test, maybe you can run RDS or something of that sort. So that is basically our lab that we've been able to successfully run the VPC, the virtual private cloud. So I think if there's anything else, I'll actually now task this is a challenge. I'll ask Meshach, next lab, that is lab on EC2. Start doing it now. You're going to be the one who's going to take us through EC2 next week. I hope that is a good challenge for you. Maybe you can unmute and maybe say something else as you close the session. I hope this has been a nice session for you. And congratulations for finishing the lab with me.
Thank you. Though I tried catching up with you.
Maybe you can unmute and say something, Meshach, if you want to say as you close the session.
Yeah, it was a nice session. At least I tried catching up with you.
Can't hear you. Or is it me? Can't hear you. Any others can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, so it was a nice session, though umetupeleka mbio, but yeah, appreciate it.
Aki poleni sana. It's just that I really wanted to take you slowly kama last time. But right now some physical issues are killing me on this other side. Nile tu ninasema tu wacha. I must make sure that the session must end amicably.
No problem, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So thank you so much, Meshach. Thank you so much for everyone for this. We are going to have a rerun on the reviews. We are going to review module 1 to 4. I'm going to do something of that sort. Then always make the WhatsApp group very active. You can use it to ask questions. You can, if you are stuck somewhere, share a screenshot. Then you're here to help you. Then don't forget that I'm going to enroll you to the Learner Labs. With the Learner Labs, you can be able to, you know, when you stop the lab, everything gets lost. But with the Learner Lab, you can do some things that stay persistent, and you're given $100 worth of cloud economics for you to do a lot of things. $100 is a lot for a class, for one project. And I can control it, Learner Lab, and make you understand all these things. So without further ado, I think I'll stop the YouTube and just stop the YouTube. Then